Hey guys, welcome to the Reclaiming Hope podcast. This is episode 12. We're going to be talking about self-blame today. So this is the last kind of installment, if you will, of the emotion series that we're doing. So not to say that there's other emotions that come with this journey, but we feel like these four that we've covered are the biggest ones. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the self-blame today. Another fun topic. So
yeah, right. Sure. But it's so natural as the moms to have some degree of blame when you lose. Mm-hmm. So we had it at different times for different reasons, and we're going to just try to talk about some of those things that go behind the scenes of why you try to blame yourself after a loss. So do you want to start off?
Sure. Yeah. I didn't really have a ton of it after we lost Camille, my first miscarriage. I would actually get triggered. I didn't get triggered a whole lot about much. In the first one, I think it was just from the shock of it all and trying to just like wrap my head around like the reality of everything. Mm-hmm. But one thing that triggered me was people were constantly, and it was a constant thing from constant people. Mm-hmm. Again, like, and we didn't talk about this in the do's and don'ts, but I don't know why this kept coming up amongst, different people, but it was like, it's not your fault, right? Like, that you didn't do this. Yeah. And I was like, I know that.
And they really mean well. Yeah. They mean well by it, just making sure that you aren't blaming yourself. But if you're like, cool, I get it, thanks. It's not helping the situation. But.
Yeah. So, I knew it wasn't my fault. I understood that first time pregnancies ending in miscarriage was really common. And I knew that, and we didn't do any of the genetic testing after the first one. So it was just left at, it is what it is.
Chromosomal abnormalities.
Yeah.
It was a fluke. We don't know. We don't know what causes this.
Exactly. Yeah. So the self-blame definitely was not there in the first one, but in the second one, it was rearing its ugly head for sure. And it came out right away. And that was even before we found out, we did all the genetic testing and found out that the extra set of chromosomes came from me. So that was even before all of that. I just immediately went into like, I can't do it. Like my body can't do this, and I went straight to like Bennett. Like I didn't really care about myself. But I went down this path of like envisioning Bennett being a father, like he's so good with my nieces and nephews. And so that whole shenanigans started of like, I'm ruining his opportunity to be a father. And so that came out pretty quickly. And I verbalized those things and, Bennett shut that down real quick. I think he was confused too, because I didn't have any of it. The first one. And then all of a sudden I'm like, it's me, it's my, like I'm doing this. My body can't handle all of this. It's my fault type of deal. So I think he was in like a little bit of a shock of like what was happening. So yeah.
Yeah. Which is fair. The boys don't know what's going on in our brains all the time. And then all of a sudden like, that's it. It's me.
Yeah. Well, because it was complete opposite, right? Of my first one. My first one, I was getting mad when people are saying like, this isn't your fault. And then all of a sudden it's, this is my fault. Like I'm ruining your life.
And then you might backtrack. I don't know. I'm just saying this. Did you go backtrack to like the first one of like, well, maybe this was it the first time and we just didn't know? Did you do any of that or no?
Honestly, no.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Which is
I know, but
surprising. Yeah. But, and I think that's maybe because then we got the genetic testing and we found out, the problem with that pregnancy was me.
Yeah.
And
I meant, did you just try to link it to like the first? Like,
no.
Well, maybe it was me for a different reason or the same reason because we didn't get the genetic testing.
Yeah. No.
Okay, good. Well, no, that's fine.
I don't know why, but I think I was just engulfed in all of like Ethan's stuff.
Yeah.
And that genetic counseling appointment did not go well at all. And so I think all of my emotions were wrapped up in that hot mess of an appointment and knowing that like Ethan, I don't know, I don't really have a reason for it.
I was just wondering, which is good, that you didn't double on stacking that That on you?
Yeah, no, it was primarily, the self-blame was primarily centered around, like, I was ruining Bennett's life.
Oh, okay. Just that.
Fun stuff. Yeah.
It's a lot to put on a person and on a wife and everything like that, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're immediately thinking, like, why is it me, you know? But at the same time, like, I was relieved that it was me too, because I didn't want him to have all of that baggage.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's a weird cycle of, like, I hate that it's me.
Oh,
I'm ruining him.
I got you.
At the same time going, I'm glad it's me, because then he doesn't have to carry that, and I've got it. Yeah. So as if I can control that, of like, oh, I got all of this, you know, like, I can carry this, you know.
I got it. And then your husband's left picking up the pieces as well. Not you, but like, that's how I feel. So then you're blaming yourself for that too.
Yep.
Oh, wow. All the layers. Yeah. Well, I have it from, like, I feel like different avenues, like 3 different big ways. And, like, the first one is in the actual loss. But I knew that I was not going to break any rules during that pregnancy. That way, if something happened, because I knew, like you're saying, it's a thing, you know, people lose their babies, miscarriages happen. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I didn't eat anything that they said don't eat. I didn't drink anything they said that you shouldn't drink. Even if it was like, you can, but we wouldn't recommend. I stayed away from it. Yeah. I distinctly remember, this is so silly now, but, like, for my own sake, I'm glad I did it. Like, you can't have ham, like a ham sandwich. Yeah. You can have bacon or something.
It has to be heated. Yeah.
Right. And so there was, like, this something, and I was like, ham bake, you know, it was like, and I was like, can I eat it? Can I not? And my sister, she was just like, yes, I think you can, but this and that. And I was like, never mind. I made that sandwich and I gave it to Dom. Yeah. And I was like, it's just not worth it, right? Yeah. And it's so silly, but, like, if I ate that and then something were to happen, my brain would be like, it's because you did this. You know you shouldn't have. So I did everything I was supposed to do, which helped me in the end, at least a little bit of comforting, knowing this was going to happen because it was supposed to happen, not because of anything that you did. Yeah. Which helped a lot. Yeah. So I actually didn't have a ton of self-blame with the loss. Yeah. Especially, and same thing, I think I've talked about it before, but, like, the reason why we did natural is because I didn't want any have to, like, a little seed of, like, maybe you weren't supposed to do the D&C yet, maybe this, maybe you're making choices. I let everything happen naturally, so I had no reason that the enemy could just be like, well, maybe this, well, maybe that. Yeah. It was all just done the way it was supposed to be. Yeah. Which was good. So I didn't have a ton of self-blame in the actual loss. Now that we've been walking the infertility side, I've been having more blame for different things throughout that process. Like, it's my body. So, and then same with you of, like, well, if Dom was married with somebody who had a functional body, then he could have however many kids by now if he wanted. Or we just got it confirmed from the doctor that is not on any of his part that has to do with the infertility, which is great. Yeah. Same with you. Like, when you were saying that, that's exactly how I felt. I said, please don't be him, because he is so lovingly sensitive that his brain will be, all Haley wants is a baby and a family, and he will go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. So I was very excited it wasn't him, but on the flip side, as my doctor's telling me how great everything looks from his end, the only thing in the back of my mind is, okay, so it really is your body, Haley. Something's off. Yeah. Something's wrong with you, essentially, that you're not getting pregnant. Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's a weird experience to have, because they're polar opposite emotions, but you're thinking them at the same exact time. It's weird. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense, but... No. I mean, I guess it makes a little sense.
If you don't think about it. Yeah. So I have all the blame of, it's my body, so I have to decide what I'm doing, but we have to decide what we're doing, and that's one layer. And then the last one that gets to me is that self-blame of not doing what I feel like women are supposed to be able to do well. is get pregnant and have babies.
Yeah.
So the only factor that sneaks in sometimes from the actual miscarriage is that I, as a mom, was not able to protect the baby. That's the one factor that I feel like I can blame. Like, there's nothing I could have done differently, but I also, as a mom, you get this mama bear, like, instinct of, I did what I thought I could do, and I did everything I could do in terms of, like, no, you're not touching me until I confirm this. Like, no, we're not doing anything medical. No, you're not putting any meds in me until we do it. That's all I could do as the mom.
Yeah.
But in a sense, after you lose, it was like, I'm blaming myself for not being able to do more or do what I'm supposed to do as a mom, protect the baby, or do what I'm supposed to do as a woman and have a successful pregnancy.
Yeah.
That came later after I, like, processed it.
Yep.
Which is, not fun either.
Yeah. I had some irrational thoughts too of, like, you crave a beer, or there's something that I'm like, oh man, I wish I could have that. So that, like, later on after we lost, I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's because my bad thoughts of, like, I wanted to have a beer and I was upset that I couldn't have a beer, so you get stupid thoughts like that of, like, I shouldn't have thought those things. So I had those in both losses of, like, maybe this is, a direct result of, like, how I was thinking or going about it. I wasn't praying hard enough. I wasn't praying the right things.
Yeah.
Which are all,
Little
not accurate and is the direct work of the enemy. So that was hard too, to kind of, like, push that aside and be like, no, absolutely not. That's not the case. One of my friends who's dealt with loss, her husband had said those babies took the exact amount of heartbeats that they were supposed to take. And that really just, like, stuck with me. That one kind of just, like, slapped me in the face. But it brought me back down. It anchored me to, okay, it's not anything I'm doing. It's not because I craved a beer. It's not any of these things. This was designed. This was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
As stinky as that, to think about that. But this is, like, what God intended. And those babies took the exact amount.
Purpose. Yeah. We talked about that at one of the Hope Mommies. Remember, the question was, like, how did your baby fulfill his or her purpose?
Yeah.
And I remember getting ticked off at that question because I'm like, well, they didn't, just for the sake of this, do anything. Yeah. They didn't do anything. So, that was annoying to have to try to unpack. Yeah, I don't know if that even applies to what we're talking about. But
no, it does. It does. It's just, it ties back to, like, none of this is in our control, right? So when you are self-blaming, you're putting that on.
You're trying to find rationale.
I did this. Yes.
You're trying to find rationale. So if you don't want to be mad at your husband because he's too sweet and he's not the issue, because the doctor said he's not the issue, and you don't want to be mad at God because he is divine and makes perfect plans, then whose fault was it?
Exactly.
There's only one person left in that party in terms of making a family. So it is you. You didn't do everything you were supposed to. Another one, I feel like that's applicable, I'll say this nicely, but for both of us, is our stress and, like, anxiety.
Yeah.
That one thing I tried to say out loud, or, like, I had the thoughts of, was if I just wasn't so stressed, or if I, like, did less, then maybe it was like that factor that, like, my body was too on edge and this and that. But I don't even know if that was true. I think I was probably stressed after I got the diagnosis. Like, I feel like I was extra cautious while pregnant.
Yeah.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. You have this whole... I remember it being so weird. Just like, there's a human in me. Yeah. No one else knows. So I'm going to drive the speed limit. I'm going to walk away from people. I'm going to eat healthy. Like, there's no way that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do.
Right.
But as soon as you lose, as soon as something goes wrong, it was, well, I did get really upset that one time. Maybe I was just too upset and I got too amped up. My heart rate went up and something.
Yeah.
You can think of everything to pinpoint, especially girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I had that one too. During Ethan's pregnancy, because I was just stressed and anxious that whole pregnancy. of like, oh man, I caused this, because constantly every day I woke up, I was prepping to have a miscarriage. Like, it was just the reality of it. I wasn't thinking about anything else other than I'm going to miscarry. But that was also accompanied by all the symptoms I was having and the cramping and all of that. But, your mind goes there too of like, okay, well, my body was under stress and maybe that's what caused it. But it's just it's not true, but it's hard not to think of those things, because you're looking for answers. You're trying to understand why this is occurring, especially when you're watching everybody else have happy, healthy babies, So it's an easy one to go to, it's easier because my therapist said blaming yourself is the easiest option because you don't want to be pointing fingers at God. You don't want to be mad at God. You don't want to be mad at your spouse. So the easiest answer is yourself, right? Which makes a whole lot of sense, especially if you're a competitive person, right? I was always so hard on myself in sports. If I didn't perform well, I was so mad at myself. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So this is, that situation is the same. You're the easiest target is you. So, yeah.
And the last sense that I feel like I blame myself, at least currently, is like that I still get sad or that it still impacts me. I can only blame myself because I'm the one that can control how I feel and how my outlook on things.
Yeah.
So I'll be sad or I'll be upset and I'll blame myself for continuously having the same conversations with my husband. Because he doesn't want to talk about it again. Like, the person who's bringing it up is clearly me and having these conversations or doing the same thing. And, like, I work at a psych hospital on the depression unit. So I'm like, okay, there is a level of situational things that can make you upset. But there is also a level of what are you doing about it? Like, what can we do to be productive? What can we do to like change the routine and things like that? And so then I get upset and self-blame of like, am I doing enough to process? Am I doing enough to change this situation to not be sad anymore? And then my brain will be like, yes, you're doing everything you can. Therefore, you should be happier, you know?
Yep.
So I can, on a bad day, I can blame myself saying, you just want to be sad. No, I don't. I don't want to be sad.
Right.
But it's just a mind game.
Yep,
so
for sure.
Okay. What else? Anything else we have from here?
I don't think so.
We just talked about how it can get really sneaky into those other emotions then. So then you're self-blaming and it turns real quickly into anxiety because you're just nervous it'll happen again and you're just like looking for it to see if it's going to happen again. Or you're self-blaming so you kind of pull yourself back into that slump of being sad, which can quickly turn into that depression.
Yeah.
So self-blame is like you're opening that door up for all of these other anger. Self-blame can sneak right back into that anger too.
For sure.
Like, well, it's your fault, so I'm going to be angry at this, or angry at someone else, or something.
Yeah. I feel like all of these emotions that we've talked about can they tunnel into each other. Yeah. That's like this whole network system of emotions, and they all, sometimes you get one of them, but sometimes you get all four at once. Yeah. I've had days where I've had all four. Yeah. And it's and happy.
That's when it's confusing.
Yeah.
You ever have it wake up and you're having a good day? You're like, this is good. I started off, I read Psalms, I'm feeling good. Then you get angry at someone's post. So then you blame yourself for getting angry. And you're upset that you're angry. So you're anxious that you're going to do it again. And then you're just like, no, I'm just depressed because I'm crashing. And you're like, what did I even feel today? When my husband says, how was this day? What am I supposed to say?
I am unsure.
You're looking at it,
D, all of the above. Yeah. So they for sure can tie into each other, and it's a mixed bag of what you're going to get for the day. But and it depends on the triggers too, what your trigger is and how often you come across those triggers. And sometimes I'm fine. If I have a trigger that comes on me, sometimes I'm okay with it. Like I'm like, that's annoying, but I'm surprisingly okay.
I also tell people at work, though, you have to be aware of your triggers and figure out what you're going to do differently. So if you know baby bumps are going to stress you out and you know that your friend is pregnant, you can't go into that situation saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was going to be upset,
Yeah.
So I tell people that, and then I'm aware of my triggers, and then I get upset, so then I self-blame that I didn't plan ahead, it's all just mind games.
Or you self-blame because you're like, I knew this is my trigger. Why am I upset? I prepped for this. Yeah. I knew it was going to trigger me.
I did exactly what I said I was going to do.
Prepared, and I'm still upset. Then that self-blame can happen because you have whatever emotional response to, one of your triggers.
Yeah.
So,
which is upsetting because I've had multiple conversations with Dom that I'm like, I don't want to have this conversation again, but I'm still upset about this. I get home, we're still upset. So then it sneaks back into that again. Why am I still sad? It's just a dance.
Yep. Not a fun dance.
No. I like dancing. But
I was just going to say, you're a great dancer, but not this kind of, not that kind of dance. So, yeah. So, I'm sure there are other emotions out there.
Maybe we'll think about them doing it.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another series, what have you. But those are the 4 that definitely impacted us the most. So, yeah, that's kind of all we got on that one. So
short and sweet.
Yeah, for sure. So
self-blame.
Yeah. You want to do your hopeful?
Sure. Yeah. So this kind of ties into a little bit of what I was talking about, but if anyone has gone through loss or infertility, it can be really hard on a marriage of just that constant same conversations, same feeling if nothing's changing, and you're trying to still find joy in just each other's company, but you just want a family. And I've noted before, but Dom and I have been together for 10 years. So at what point I'm like, I do love him, but I'm like, we're doing the same thing. We're going to the same thing. We're doing the same hobbies.
Yeah.
So anyway, in the last little bit, full of love and everything, I would just be like, my response to things would be like, sure, we can go do disc golf because it's not like I have a baby to take care of. Sure, we can go to the zoos because we're not on a sleep schedule for anybody else.
Yeah.
And with this just negative outlook on the time I was spending with my husband, and we would have fun, but then I would come home and just be like, well, we can do that because we can.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. And it was about 2 weeks ago where we were just driving on our way to something, and with the biggest smile, I was just like, I'm so excited to that I'm happy to be spending time with you again. And Dom got really excited about that, but then I thought about it and it made me sad because I was like, have I not been? No, I've been enjoying my company with him, but I just said nicely, just just the little dates, the hopping in the car while we have this freedom, still enjoying it. So I'm just hopeful at that just change of heart or viewpoint in my own self to actually enjoy it and not just let 3 years pass by only wanting this one thing that's not happening, stealing all of my actual joy.
Not living life.
Yeah, so we've been going on weekend trips and going to these zoos and playing disc golf and trying to meet I think I said that a few times ago, that my hopeful was that we re-looked at all of our New Year's resolutions, and some of them are, we had said we were going to all these zoos and how many disc golf courses we were going to play at, and we hadn't done any of them, so we're actually doing it, but we're excited not just because we have to and have the time. It's our own little...
You want to and want to be together doing fun things that you enjoy.
Yes, so I'm just hopeful that we're just having that I don't know, revival or whatever back in our summer. So
nice. I like that.
Thank you. What are you hopeful for?
I mean, this is a pretty easy one, I guess, for me, but it also ties to my husband. Our 5-year anniversary is coming up. So I don't know. I'm just hopeful in the fact that we have been on this journey for almost 2 years at this point, which seems crazy. But nothing's changed in our marriage other than we've gotten closer and stronger. And that's a good feeling after having all of this loss and disappointment over the last 2 years. So I don't know. I'm just hopeful that we've been together for 5 years, which is crazy to think about. It seems like yesterday that we got married. So yeah, 5 years seems like a big step.
It is. Yeah. Like you said, especially with all this, like people can go 20 years and be together and never have anything that ruffles any feathers or emotions, and everything just goes well. They have pregnancies, whatever, or seemingly, like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Seemingly. And just to like, for both of us to just get thrown into like a lot of emotions and chaos and potential just to like get really frustrated at each other and irritable and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is just cool to be like, okay, another year of just like, it was just us doing this thing together. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
Cool. Look at us loving our husbands. I hope they watch this episode and just...
I don't let Bennett watch. Like, when I go back and I watch them, I don't let Bennett watch it with me.
Oh, so. With you. But he watches them?
I think so.
Bennett,
I actually
if you're watching it.
I actually don't know. I would assume so, but yeah, I don't. Because he makes all these comments in a good way, but I want to like watch to make sure everything like looks good and like that we, you know, that we flowed well and all of that stuff. So I'm like going through things in my mind, but I want like peace and quiet. And so he'll say something, like he'll say different stuff. And I'm like, can you, it's like, you lived this, like you were there in person. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's different. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's funny.
Anyways.
Don watches it by himself. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I feel better now.
Yeah. Then I'll make comments and I'm like, you did watch it.
I see you over there.
So.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Stay tuned for next episode. We've got another special guest. So hang tight for that one. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.